show you a little bit about what life was like in 1963, about what Sun Valley looked like, and then they're going to be joining us for your graduation too. They're going to be sitting directly behind you at your graduation, and a couple of them are going to speak at the graduation too. So we have plenty of time between now and lunch. If you have any questions as the presentation goes along, you can raise your hand, all right, or we can answer questions afterwards. They're also going to come to third lunch too, okay? So we want everybody to be in their best behavior, best behavior during third lunch. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bill Fulmer. He was voted in 1963 as the most talented in the class. Mr. Bill Fulmer.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if they can hear you.
I need it. Some of us try to dress appropriate for how we went to school back in the day, and these ties were quite fashionable then. Check out the skinny belt too. Okay, that was quite. And we actually have two sweaters up here that were actual Letterman sweaters. They don't sell anything like this anymore, so I went out and got a hoodie, and I put my letter on it. And I'll be taking this off pretty soon. First of all, we're not professionals up here, so you're going to get what you get today. We're going to do the best we can. We think we're going to have a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join in. We want this thing to be very interactive, so at any point, if you have a question or you have a comment or whatever, just stand up and yell it out, and we'll reply, okay? We've got a nice intimate setting here, and we hope everybody takes advantage of that. First of all, I need to thank your principal, Mr. Donahue, and our past principal, Mr. Hill, for making all this happen, because it was their impetus and their openness to having the history that we are showing you today become a little bit part of the flavor of Sun Valley as it exists today. Because Sun Valley today wouldn't have been here if it hadn't been for the history behind it. I've got notes here because when you get our age, up here on the panel, all the folks here were in the graduating class. We're all happy to share what was going on back then. And surprisingly, some of it is still the same. We're going to show you a couple things. And then some of it's drastically different. We're going to introduce all the folks on the panel a little bit later in the presentation. So you're going to get a chance to know them. You're going to get a chance to know what their background was a little bit. We want everybody to have a lot of fun today, and that's enough for this introduction. Now, like any good teacher, if it's Monday morning, what do the students expect? A pop quiz, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to start with. If you were supposed to have been instructed to bring pencils and pens. I hope you all did. You can take them out now. If you don't have one, please raise your hand. Okay. Come on up. Was it you? Which color would you like? Okay. I see you can put a ladies' watch. Okay. So in keeping with turn back the clock, we had they each got a little watch. Okay?
tidbits about the school. When we started here in September of '59, the doors opened to the school, and it was not completed, but it was just the 9th graders that had an entire year in one wing without the cafeteria. The gym was unfinished, and so it was a beautiful thing that for the first time, Aston, Brookhaven, and Parkside, all the 9th graders in the district got to meet each other, and we became the class of the 4-year seniors, basically, from 9th through graduation. The other thing I wanted to tell you about is the school was completed the following year, and then they started having grades 7 through 10, 7 through 11, and finally in our senior year, 62 to 63, the school was overcrowded, and we had to have half days for our senior year, which is kind of a bummer. I don't mean to not talk to you guys. Well, it was good and bad. But anyway, looking at, this is your current Griffin as we see it today, but ours looked much different. This was our logo. Actually, I remember it on our school book covers that we used. Pretty funny, huh? But there is a meaning. There's something here that you can relate to today. This is the actual coat of arms, and you guys are still using this. Is that true? Do you have that?
Without the so whatever's in the Vanguard.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a shame because I can go into details on what each of the plates mean, but basically the top
It's a griffin
left below the griffin with the 3 dots are the arms of William Penn. The upper right, that lion that you see, are the arms of Lord Delaware. And the bottom has the sun. And it just so happens that the sun in splendor is sitting on a gold on blue field. Does that sound familiar? That's our school colors. That's where the colors, the blue and gold, came from. And now we talk about the griffin, and supposedly with the strength of a lion, speed of an eagle, clutching a Vanguard spacecraft. Does that sound familiar? Vanguard? That's how we got the nickname Vanguards. Okay. This was our completed high school. And this is yours. And that's me. I hope this doesn't scare you, but it took over 50 years to look this way. Anyway, I worked for Burroughs for 28 years and then McKesson for 10 years. And it was because of the Burroughs company benefits that paid for my tech school and college that I was able to make a career out of those years. And I had a lot of fun. And Kathy Alley, she graduated and went right to work, and she had a successful career, part of which she worked for the owner of the Baltimore Orioles and won a trip to one of the World Series, and now all her clients are four-legged ones. All right, Chris Carpenter. Does anyone know Mrs. Eaton? Did anybody have a Mrs. Eaton? This is Mrs. Eaton. And of course she went to Westchester and got a master's from Winehurst, and she was a math teacher here in the district for 29 years. Most of those at Northlake. Did accounting for family business and retired 2 years ago. Paul Cass, also known as Dr. Paul Cass. He went to Juniata for his BS, Hammond Medical College for his MD, and he's had 19 years at Crozer Chester Medical Center, 16 at the Genesis Healthcare, and he's currently the Chief Medical Officer for Genesis Rehab Services. So here's our doctor. Class President obviously he was brilliant. Linda Davis. Linda had 36 years at Sunoco, and 27 of those were coordinator for Sunoco Race Fuels. So she made very many contacts with the racing organizations and got the opportunity to travel and experience the racing venues. And she's retired 2 years ago too. All right, Bill Fulmer. You've already met Bill. He did not finish college, but he got a super job at DuPont for 27 years, primarily in computer systems. But this is the most important part, my friends, if you do things right. He retired almost 21 years ago at age 46. So work hard early and enjoy it.
Lucky Bill, what position do you play in football?
Offensive and defensive end.
Come on, can you stand up? Later, Bill. Take him outside later.
Okay, Ken Garrett, could you stand up? Ken graduated from Wharton's School, University of Pennsylvania, and since 1971 he's been president and owner of Garrett Liners Incorporated, and it's a manufacturer of vinyl liners and safety covers for swimming pools. And I believe, Ken, that's across, you've gone outside of the United States. Yeah. Great, thanks, Ken. Dave Hassey. His bio is so lengthy, I have to shorten it. Dave got both his BA in economics and his master's in finance from Temple University, and but he's traveled. I think it's his hobby. All 50 states, 54 of 58 national parks, over a dozen European countries, and he's been elected to school boards, and he's also served on a variety of nonprofits. And he's been involved in mission work in France, married 45 years to wife Betty, and one daughter, Laura. Thanks. Ardell Johnson. Here she is. You might also know her as Mayor Gordon of Parkside. She's the one. She's lived in Aston Brookhaven, Parkside. She's married 48 years, 3 children, and all of her children are Sun Valley graduates, 2 grandkids. She's been a councilwoman for 22 years in Parkside, and now the current mayor for 10. Thank you. George Phillips. George Phillips. He's also known as Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Air Force, now retired. He got his electrical engineering degree from University of Delaware and his master's for that from Ohio State. And he's held a lot of different positions throughout the military, and then worked for Lockheed Martin until he retired. Yeah, okay, thanks. Kay Schwallow. Married 49 years, 1 daughter, 2 granddaughters, and she had a fascinating career being an international purchasing agent for the Franklin Mint. And she ended up traveling throughout Europe and the Far East. She was an assistant high school coach for varsity softball and coached middle school soccer at Garnet Valley School District for 7 years, and she's still working there as an administrative secretary. Kathy Schenkweiler. Okay. All right. After graduation from Sun Valley High School, had a 25-year career with Verizon, and she retired in 2001, and since then has been traveling and enjoying her family. And Charlie Werner, otherwise known as Butch. This man went from visiting the principal's office so often, the experience had a positive effect. He became a juvenile aid officer supervisor for the Pennsylvania State Police. he also had a career with Boeing Defense and Space Group as a FAA inspector. And he's married to a sweetheart, and they married while in high school, and everybody said it wouldn't last, but it has. 50 years. Eddie Zimmerman. This is Betty. She pursued her passion for hairstyling. She raised 4 children she's very proud of. And she's owned her own hair salon for over 30 years. And she's still working, and she says, who says you have to retire? Finally, hit the button. Last but not least, this is Harry Hill, also known as Mr. Hill, our principal of Sun Valley High School in 1963. So Harry's done a lot in his career. He's been a shop teacher, a librarian, the athletic director. And he was the Sun Valley assistant principal, a Sun Valley High School principal, and he's been the director of instructional services and superintendent of schools. He retired at age 76 with 52 years in the education field. And Harry's going to, thank you, Harry. And Mr. Hill's going to talk to you later about something close to all of our hearts, and hopefully it will be yours too. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Is everybody staying with us? I am Paul Cass. I think we just met a little while ago. I had the privilege of being president of this class for 4 years. It cost me a lot of money and a lot of campaigning, but I was able to pull it off. No, but it was a great class. We had great advisors. We met regularly. We talked about a lot of the stuff that Judy brought up. You know, we had no motto, we had no colors, we had nothing. We had nobody telling us when we should have dances or proms or stuff like that, and we put it all together. We had great advice. So I understand this is the current group. Is that correct? Oh, that's last year's group. Pretty much the same. Okay. Do you meet regularly? Go ahead. Weekly basis. Wow. We were more or less monthly, I think, if I remember. And then we would bring the whole class together, not as often. We also had a student council. The first slide again. Notice we had a treasurer. I want you to know that Peg Swallow, our parliamentarian, is still now our treasurer and has carried that for 50 years with us. Okay. The student council met. They covered things a little bit different than the class presidency and that office. Talked more about rules and regs and some stuff like that, and this was that group. None of those, I don't think, are with us today except for Judy, who was the treasurer of that group. I will tell you that Mrs. Muldoon, who was the advisor, was also an outstanding English teacher here. I believe she's in the Hall of Fame. And I will tell you that every one of us, when we took our SATs, was extremely well prepared for the English part of the exam because of her efforts. She was a consummate teacher. Is this mine? No. I'm done. I'm passing the baton to the treasurer.
Just warming up the crowd for me. How many of you are in the band here? All right, awesome. Way to go. Well, I got a little bit of vibe awakening for you. When we started this band, we had 40 members. No uniforms, hardly any instruments, only what our parents could scrape up from our aunts and uncles and whatever. So you can imagine what it was like. We were sort of like a ragtag in the beginning, but I'll tell you, Talk about growth. This group grew enormously. We went from 40 in the first year, 1959, 1960, to approximately 80 when we finally finished. Well, I'm sorry, just 80 band members. We had the color guard. In the color guard, we had, sorry, he went through past the majorettes. There were 13 majorettes directed by Mary Ann Romeo. She was a local person in our neighborhood who had been a tremendous majorette for one of the local high schools, which is no longer around. Your parents or grandparents may have talked about Eddystone. We had a color guard, which he passed over the film before this, the slide before this, and in the color guard we had, forget how many people we had, 21, no, here I'm wandering here. In the drill team, in the color guard we had 13 members, 12 members, I'm sorry, and a funny thing with the color guard is that we call him Mr. D, would always be flippant about that we had to be the first people out on the field, dressed, ready to go. With the drill team came later, 2 years later, and there are 21 members in this squad. As you can see, the uniforms were the opposite colors of the band. These were gold with blue trim, blue brass buttons. Our majorettes, as you can see here, they had white uniforms, the blue and the flare, and they were very good, especially the one in the middle. She was the person that came down the field first. She was the tallest girl in our class. I'd have to say, very beautiful woman. There's one thing I wanted to add to this. Mr. DeAugustine, he was the greatest mentor, greatest teacher a kid could have at that time. He always had time to listen to you no matter what problem you had. And I'm sure you have a few that you can touch upon right now. He also wrote your alma mater. Thank you. Does anybody here in the audience know Mr. DeAugustine or have heard of him? All right. When we came down the field in the band, there was 145 of us. We were dressed right. We came out of the end zone to the sound of Ben Hur, which means you have all drum and brass in front. That's all you heard is this band. It put a chill up your spine. People knew when Sun Valley came marching down the field, just like I experienced at your football game homecoming this year. So be proud of your band, be proud of everything that you get involved in. It's really important. It'll carry you through the rest of your life. You'll never forget the good times you had. All right? Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. You can pick me out there. I'm the guy with the long sideburns, no tie, and I'm operating or trying to operate some kind of early computer. I didn't know what it was then. I don't know what it is now. Never learned how to use it. And the feature looking on, that's Mr. Dick. And that really is his name. That is Charlie Journey. One to my other side was Russ Forsythe, and John Tillman is the next gentleman down there. I think that's about enough. Thank you very much for attending. Hope we kept you awake at least. Who's up next? Oh, next slide. Okay, there's four gentlemen there. They're being instructed by Mr. Vermichuk not to get cut. I think he was more concerned with them cutting somebody else, because they actually did star in a movie. It was called Blackboard Jungle. It was a high school movie made in 1955 about juveniles. They all fit in very nicely. Next. I don't know what he's doing there, but he's measuring something with a slide rule. That's Mr. Motter, our algebra teacher. He was also pretty good with the paddle, as I recall. And that's Mrs. Muldoon, and I think I'll defer to the next person. Ms. Carpenter.
All right, this is English class. Notice there is no group work. It is every person for his or herself. You didn't, I mean, that one girl standing up there pointing to something for the other boy, that's George there, that's Lily Gates. She was our class valedictorian. Anyway, she's pointing at something. She wouldn't normally help George out. And that's Mrs. Mulgis. Excellent. That's Mr. Ruth. Mr. Ruth, I don't know, maybe within the last 15 years retired from this district. He ended up being science coordinator. They just had a picture there. Now this is physics class going on now, or chemistry. I'm not sure, it looks like chemistry to me. Did they look like they look like they're having fun? That's the way to have fun. Mr. McGorman's distributed veg class is not mine, so.
What's
Hi,
distributed?
I'm Kathy Bailey, and back in 1963, there were two ways you could attend Sunvalley, either through the academic course or through the commercial course. It's not like that anymore. You all have so many credits that you have to get, and then you're able to graduate. In the commercial side, you had an option to become a member of distributive education. It was a way that young people could learn what it was going to be like in the work world. Learn how to dress, learn how to talk, learn how to get paid for what you do. So I don't know if it's still in effect here at the school, but let me tell you, how many of you here would love to come to school from 8 to 12 and then say goodbye and go somewhere else from 1 to 5 and get paid for it? And that is exactly what we did. Next slide.
This was Future Business Leaders of America. Future Business Leaders of America. I don't know if that's even still involved with, with the school at all. And it was a group that we joined as part of the commercial course. I was in the commercial course where we had shorthand typing, that type of thing. And this was at a convention. Oh, different slide. You, Pat, you're up.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You switched
Part
over.
of the distributive education was to learn various things that allowed you to go out and make money. And to just kind of see where you were in the big scheme of things, we had conventions once a year. All the schools would send their participants, and we did public speaking, we had marketing, and we would win trophies and such on that.
Okay, this is also from the FBLA convention in Reading, and just a couple of the girls who went there. And we had a lot of photographs were taken, all in black and white. But believe it or not, I really think we had color film back then. I don't think many people used it. Whoa, that's
Take it back one.
Yeah, this color on it.
Phil, will you take it back one?
Okay. No, I'm done.
That's my father on the left, and that's the president of the band standing there in uniform. This used to be a double-breasted sweater. When they talk about teachers teaching as well, the band was a big part of my life in high school, and we would march through the community. We'd get the community involved in singing the band, so we would have our practices marching through the community. And we never had a graduating class before us, but we were invited as a band to play Miss America Parade, Grand City, invited down to Winchester, Virginia, to the Apple Blossom Festival Parade, and we were invited to Harrisburg for the inauguration of Governor Scranton as a band. So for a new band that never had anybody go before it, we were invited a lot of places on the merits of it. After high school, I was drafted, went into the military, and auditioned for Navy Army Band, all because of the teaching here. Now, I had clarinet that my parents bought. My daughter played clarinet in high school, and she was good. I wasn't good, but she was very good, and I would tell her the reason why she was good is I put all that music in there, and she was just releasing. This is, we go back, this is the band that we had. The back on, please. The second one in here, holding a clarinet, that is I, and this is your band. And the program continues. How many of you are in the band? Okay. Good. It's a good thing. I commend it to you. This is Ken now.
Morning. This isn't a group of extras with ill-fitting clothing from Mad Men. The National Honor Society, the Class of 63 members. Several of us are still here on the panel today. Myself, Paul Cass, Bill Fulmer, Chris Carpenter, and George Phillips. And I always thought there should be more of us in there. We're never sure just how you were selected for that. There's always some, but we all turned out okay. As somebody mentioned earlier, it's a good time to bring it up again, but anybody that was born even a year before us, when they finished 8th grade here and either Aston or Brookhaven or Parkside, they were given the choice of going to high school, either Media High School, Eddie Stone High School, or Chester High School. So just by a year, we were lucky enough to wind up here at Sun Valley. That, I gather, is your National Honor Society today. This is the future nurses. Judy Brucci is on second from the right there, and Judy never became a nurse. The school paper at that time was called The Reflector. I was the, I'm in the center there, editor-in-chief, and there's Judy sitting on my left. She was the assistant editor. On my right is Art Zimmerman, who is the sports editor. Dave was there. That's right. Okay, this I gather is the staff of, what's the name of your paper now? Is it still Reflector?
You have a school newspaper?
Voice of the Valley? Okay. This is two things here. This is September of 1962. We were just in our senior year. This is volume 1, volume 4. This is the 4th year that we put out the Reflector, and we eventually kind of started getting it right. Vanguard Voice. Okay, and this is our Spectrum yearbook. Again, several of us were one that I worked for Art Zimmerman, who was our sports editor. And you know that apparently is your current yearbook staff. We brought several copies of the yearbook. It's kind of primitive by today's standards, but we're all very proud of it. This is last year's yearbook. Okay. And now we turn it over to
Me back again. We had some fun in the yearbook by picking out some categories. I'm sorry, I missed a category. Can you go back? We had the best looking, Irene and John, and there they are at, was that the 45th reunion? 40th reunion. There Ken, Linda, Chris, and I, most likely to succeed. There we are. Versatility and personality. Linda Day and I lived on the same street in Parkside. We used to drive together to school, and I've lost contact with her, but she was an evening, or is an evening. We had wittiest, quietest, talkative, and you really needed to know Diana and Jim to see why they won that. Best dressed, you can see that carried over. And then most athletic, Brian, as people may not know, but Brian was an All-American in Westchester. He's a great football player. And you've met Bill. Kathy's not here, but they were the most talented. There's the football court. I think I was going to point out some people there. Yeah, John Tillman, I'm in the back. Brian, Bill, you were there. And that's the current, I think that was that last year's? Yeah, we had no homecoming. And that's the proms, the dances we had, snowball, football. There was our previous principal before Harry. And there was Mr. McGorman, I told you, the advisor, and Mr. DeAugustine and another.
Our head maid,
We had a lot of fun, as it looks like you guys had a lot of fun. Bandstand, who's up for this? Not me. You don't want me dancing.
We're not going to have time to do this. What we were going to do was do a little dance contest, but time is running short. Let me just...
Let's do it.
Well, if we have time, we'll come back to it. At the end of the presentation, there's going to be a website address. We have something called a reunion website. So we have a reunion website that we're going to give you the address for. And this slide presentation is going to be on the website. And if you come down to this page, you can check out some of these links. This is an oldie but goodie from the late 50s. This was actually a pre-bandstand show. So if you want to take some time later on, you can check out these links and see the dances that we did. What was going on back then was that if you were a singer and you wanted to have a hit song, you came up with a dance. And so everybody came up with a new dance, and then you got a hit song out of it. And we had a lot of dances to learn back then. Okay, this is my part. We have very, very few pictures from back then. I have 0 pictures of myself playing high school football. Now that you've got all these cameras and stuff around, make sure you get some pictures. Parents weren't good at taking pictures back then. They're a lot better now. This fellow here, Brian Mulhern, he was the first all-Delco athlete from Sun Valley. So in his senior year, he was all-Delco football. And he went to Westchester University and starred as a football player there, made Little All-American, and actually had some tryouts in the pros. And he probably never weighed more than about 210 pounds at his very tops. If you take a look at the helmets, you see that there's the face guards are all the same. Everybody wore the same face guard, and they were just these little things. I know that there's a great tradition in football here at Sun Valley. Well, we actually started it. And when we were in sophomores, there were no juniors and seniors in the school. We played a full varsity schedule of football with nothing but sophomores. And we won 2 games. By the time we were seniors, we were 5-3-1, and we're tied for the. We didn't actually have a league back then, to tell you the truth, but we had a very good record. So the tradition is long-standing. I have a program here that is from 1961 when we played Yaden, and let me just myself. I was a junior, I weighed 150 pounds. We had guys on the team that weighed 135 pounds and were starting players. The heaviest guy on the team weighed 190 pounds, and he was a lineman. And the next heaviest guy was a fullback who weighed 180. So we had some really small guys back then, but then again, the other teams were fairly small too. I've seen your weight room here. And it's really nice. We had no weight room. We didn't lift any weights at all. We didn't even know what that was, to tell you the truth. Which, in my mind, looking back, is kind of a good thing. Again, I've talked about get your pictures now, because this is one of the few pictures we have after a game. The basketball team, the current day shorts that you use in basketball could make about 3 pairs of these shorts. And in soccer, that guy that's down on the ground who's the coach, he was the coach. He didn't have any assistants. That was it. He was it. And back then, because we were a new school, we had no track team, we had no lacrosse team, we had no golf team, we had no tennis team, we had no hockey teams, no swimming teams. Those all came along later. We had the 3 basic for the guys, and the gals had 2 basic, hockey and basketball. Peg?
Mrs. Eaton was on the team. She's there. I'm also on the team. Kathy Shankwell, Mrs. Warner, so also on the team in the back. We weren't too successful. We played a lot of schools that are no longer in existence. They've merged with other schools. But we did win 1 game, and we're proud of that. I brought you a hockey stick of what I played with in high school, which, as you can see, has changed quite a bit. Now you have hockey sticks that the head is shorter, and it's a different composite material. This is all wood. So when you got hit with this, it hurt. We also didn't have mouthpieces, didn't have head guards, didn't have shin guards. What you see is what you got in basketball. The same uniform, tunic with bloomers, and a white blouse. The game has changed quite a bit. We weren't allowed to roam back and forth like you are today. The coach was not allowed to shout anything from the bench, or it was a technical. Second time she was out of the gymnasium. The rules for women changed with Title IX, gave us more leverage. We got to be more like the guys, which that's what we want to do. There's one of our, Jean Salisbury, she's in the middle. She was a very good basketball player. We also had another one, Diane Roberts, who's in the class in back of us. She was I think she was like your 1,000-point girl, first one ever. So it was a big step. Cheerleaders today.
Yes, now you know, that's what it was to be alive. Oops, sorry, bad flashback. That's me in the center there with a solemn look on my face. This is the cemetery scene from Thornton Wilder's Our Town. It was one of the earliest productions that our thespian group put on. And here you have a BCP conversation going on. That's before cell phone. People in the town getting together and chatting about the latest gossip of the day. And of course, our stage. This is an entire cast for that play. Quite a few people behind the scenes. As we went on, we got a little more complex with the scenery. Our town had very simple scenery, chairs. Here we actually built a set and put it up on the stage. The same stage, although I believe the stage has been modified. And this is from one of your productions. A lot more. I'm not sure what one of that was. And as you can see, even as a new school, we were getting involved in community activities and getting recognition for the school.
Yeah, an ugly bathing suit, right. These are pictures taken in a photo booth, which was popular back in our time, where you got 4 slides for 25 cents and you could do whatever you wanted to. And these are 2 fellows that went off to the service. And this is your ROTC. These are just some pictures of what our guys and girls looked like when we went to proms. It's a lot different. So you're just going to get a feel for what the hairstyles were like, what the dress was like. The girls all had corsages on the wrists. It's a lot different today. And back then, there wasn't any after-prom party. Like now, I think they really go all out for after-prom parties, and some of them are kept secret, and you all don't know until you get there what it's going to be, the theme and such. Back then, I think if we were lucky and if our parents let us, we could go down to the beach at the end of the prom. And our proms were held, were our proms held here again? What was it, Walk?
That's where your senior prom is at the Springfield Country Club. Their senior prom is at the Springfield Country Club as well.
One of the things we want to talk about this morning a little bit, that you'll get into yourself, is reunions. This was the 15th reunion of this class of 63, the 25th reunion, and the 40th reunion. See how things have changed. And what we're starting this year with this class of 63, they've been out 50 years, and every class from now on that is celebrating their 50th reunion will be part of Sun Valley's program and the graduation of that year. So we're going to take a little time from your graduation on June 11th to process in with you and to have a little comment made from one of our members at graduation. But it's your year. But keep in mind, look forward to reunions of your class. It's the way to go, and it's the way to do things. We were in your parade, your homecoming parade in September. They gave us a bus. We had members in there. We came down to the parade. We enjoyed that. We came down on the field. We were introduced. There we are on the field, and you can see us, the group. So your officers now look forward to doing some things for your class for the next 50 years. And your principal, Pete, I talked to him this morning, and he promises me that he'll be at your 50th reunion in 2064. So, any questions on that? This is a new Sun Valley tradition. It's starting this year, so you'll all be part of it the first time and from here on out. There are some groups we took some pictures of. I don't know if anybody can see themselves in those. And this is what graduation looks like up at Newman. This was last year's graduation, and you'll be processing in down there on the floor. And our class, class of 63, will be in those back rows this year, and they'll be standing and they'll be honored. Is that anything else, Bill? Okay, there's just another shot of that. And if you're looking for the website of the class of 63, it's there at the bottom, www.sunvalley63 reunion. If you have somebody in your class that likes computers and likes to keep up with what your class will be doing for the next 50 years, set up a website. Follow yourself that way. So, Bill, anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, because or if you guys have questions, you have time. Time for your lunch.
So that's our presentation for today. Again, if you have a chance, you might write that website down. If you want to go through the presentation you saw today, it's on there. There's an icon in the middle of the home page. It says, turn back the clock, day slides. If you want to go to that dance page, dance slide, you can check the YouTube videos out. They're pretty good. Any other questions we can handle? Put a lot in a short amount of time today. Yeah. All weekends. Our football games, like in the fall, were always on Saturday afternoon at like 1 o'clock. The field didn't have any lights out there, so all the games were played during the day. Roller skating on Saturday mornings was a popular thing. Come on, Betty, help them out. Stay there. Okay. We would love you to keep going, but we have a limited amount of time. So, we're going to have a